Hi guys, back in the van again. So we've got the Ecoflow Delta 2 Max now in the van. They sent us the alternator charger, which we unboxed the other day, and we're really looking forward to installing that, but we haven't installed it as yet, as you can tell, because it's there. But what I have done is we have turned on our camping fridge. No, we haven't. We've turned on our Campervan fridge, which is in here. Ignore that there. Right, so the Campervan fridge is there, and the actual fridge temperature is minus 10 for the freezer compartment, which actually we're going to take out, and it's 2 degrees for the actual fridge itself. Now, we turned this on 3 nights ago at around about this time, almost exactly this time. So that fridge has ran for 3 days on the Delta 2 Max. So if you look at the Ecoflow app, then we've got the Delta 2 Max on there, and it's currently showing 19% or 19% of time remaining. It also shows on there DC, we're using 30, 33, 38 watts, 40 watts, 32. So it's fluctuating slightly. The only thing the DC is currently running is the fridge. And as we say, that's been on for 3 days. So what I would say is that the Delta 2 Max has easily got 3 fridge days in it. A fully charged Delta 2 Max has got 3 fridge days. So that is in there, as we've just showed you. That is a proper camper van fridge. It's the CRX 50 or CX50 or whatever it's called. But it's a proper camper van fridge. It does what it says on the tin. Now, we've ran it empty, I have to say. So interestingly, if we go back into the Ecoflow app, we're currently showing 35 watts of DC. We'll do some maths in a minute so we can show you what the battery pack, what the actual power station is telling us it can do, and what we've found that it is doing, which does match, to be fair. It's got 2048 watt hours of electricity. We'll do some maths in a minute so we can show how that actually translates into real life and how long you could run things for in a real way. But the interesting thing is that we are currently using, we put my phone down there. So we're currently using, try and get away from the glare if we can, we're currently using an AC to DC converter to run the 12 volt LED strip lights, which you can see we're dimming. We've dimmed it right down. Oh, we've got a disco going on. We've dimmed it right down, and we're dimming it back up. So we've got the 2 strips on, if I can show you. Oh, no, come on. We've got the 2 strips on at the minute. We've got that one, and we've got that one. Now, just to do that, if I go into that one, I can dim him down a little bit, and if I go back over to this one, I can dim him down a little bit. But the interesting thing you'll see is that in the app, it's the AC that's running these lights, but at the minute, it's registering as nothing. So I can only assume that's the hum coming from the fridge. First time I've heard that. I can only assume that the wattage that it's drawing is so low that it doesn't actually register on the app. Because if you watch this now, if we turn on the kitchen lighting, then straight away the app starts registering at 55 watts. And again, kitchen lighting's on, dim it down a little bit, and back to the app. And again, with it dimmed down there, it's saying that we're not using anything. Put it back up, it goes back up to 58 watts. So that's interesting. If we then turn the seating lighting on below us, that's just come on. And then we go back to the app and we're using 56 watts of electricity. If you can see that, I'm sure you can. So that is quite interesting. So the dilemma now is that we've got the Delta 2 Max in the van. It's ran the fridge for 3 days, no problem at all. It's running the lighting via a 240 to 12 volt DC converter or charger at the moment. That's completely off grid with nothing charging it. It's had no charge put into it or anything like that. So once we get to the stage where we're going to install the semi-rigid solar panel on the roof of the campervan, and hopefully in a few days we're going to install the alternator charger, then we can literally just run the engine for a few hours. Depending on what charge rate we establish works well in our van. We've seen other videos where trying to run the Ecoflow alternator charger has caused issues with the vans, with warning lights coming up, etc. So we don't want to overstretch the alternator. We don't want to cause ourselves any problems, undue problems, but we do want to obviously get as much charge into the power station as we possibly can. So we'll have a tinker with that and just see how we get on with that and how well it does. But in theory then, with this one power station, we haven't used any 240 volt electricity. I don't know why we would, unless we're going to start trying to run toasters, kettles, air fryers, things like that. For us, that's not a requirement. We've got a gas hob in the kitchen unit there. We've got an awning that we take with us when we go on longer trips, and in there we've got a Kadak with, you know, we can cook on the Kadak. The gas, obviously, we use the gas for boiling the kettle, things like that. So we don't really have a requirement for 240 volt. It's all about the DC for us. And what I'm saying is that with just the one power station, I think we can survive pretty amicably. We can pretty well for a day or two at least with the power station that we've got, which is the Delta Max 2. And then if needs be, without any electric hookup or anything else, we can just run the engine and go for a drive and charge the power station back up. And then add to that, once the semi-rigid solar panels on the pop-top roof, and providing it's getting a decent generation from that panel, that can be topping the battery up as well. So the bit I can't decide now is what we do next, because 2048 watt hours, we're going to do the maths in a minute, we're going to do the maths on that in a minute. 2048 watt hours isn't going to be enough, I think, for us to be comfortable that we don't need to supplement that with anything else. So do we supplement that with a normal lithium leisure battery that goes under one of the seats, for argument's sake, and we use a DC to DC charger, or we find another way of using the power station to charge that? We can do that option. We can, of course, on the Ecoflow power station, we can add another expansion battery on to double the amount of power we've got available, so we can go from 2048 to 4,000 odd watt hours. That's plug and play. And once the alternator charger is installed and the panel's on the roof, that's it, done. You've got 240 volt if you need it, which I would then literally just run from the power station into a little consumer unit, and I put a few sockets around the van as required. And obviously we've got an electric hookup point which we'll wire into the van. But at the minute, I'm even considering, do we need to bother putting a 240, 230 volt, 220 volt if we're in Europe? Do we need to bother putting an electric hookup point on this van? Are we going to benefit from that? Yeah, of course. If we go, it's always nice when you go to a campsite and you've got the hookup available, or you're somewhere where you can plug the van in and charge everything and not worry about it. So we probably will go down that route anyway, just so we can charge everything if we need to. But I'm genuinely thinking that we can survive off-grid with the alternator charger, solar panel on the roof, and with enough storage in the batteries to do what we need to do. We're going to be running LED lighting. We're going to be running a diesel heater. Now that's an issue that we need to make sure we've got enough power to run that diesel heater, and also it's got to have enough power in it to make sure that the diesel heater can do its rundown cycle and burn off any unused diesel. So that's a big thing. We've got to make sure we have got the capacity to do that. What we can't have is the diesel heater cutting out, not going through that cycle, that shutdown cycle, and we end up with a broken diesel heater. You know, the cooling fan in the diesel heater needs to run for long enough to cool the heat exchange, and if it doesn't, then that can cause massive issues. So we've got to make sure we've got enough to do that. So there's many interesting decisions to be made, but I think we're on the right path with this. I think we're on the right path with using a power station to cover most, if not all, of our power needs in our camper van, and the Ecoflow system seems to be absolutely superb. Oh yeah, another point I wanted to make, I love the way the Ecoflow app lets you turn the AC and the DC and the USB power on from the app itself. So for us, the power station's tucked away. We don't want to be reaching into the compartment when we want to turn things on and off, so that is superb. That's such a simple but such a brilliant little feature. If I want to turn it off, I just turn it off. Simple as that. Right, we're going to go through the maths of everything now, so just bear with me while I work out how to record screen on my phone. Okay, we promised the maths. Here it is. This power station says it's got 2048 watt hours of electricity. Okay, I think on average that's a 60 watt fridge as advertised. We know that the run cycle of the fridge, we know that we assume that it'll actually be drawing power 20% of the time. Is that right? No, sorry. We assume that in every hour it'll be drawing power for 20 minutes. So a third of the time it'll be drawing the 60 watts. From what I've seen, most of the times I've looked in the app and looked to see what we're using, it looks as though it uses about 30 watts every time I look at it. So if we take the 2048, divide that by the 30 watts, so we've got 2048 watt hours available, divide that by 30 watts, that gives us 68.26. That's the amount of hours that, in theory, the power station can run the fridge. If we divide that then by 24, it gives us 2.84, which is about the 3 days that we've experienced. Now, my assumption at 30 watts is only from what I've took little snapshots when I've been looking to see how the battery's getting on, how we're doing it. So I'm obviously a little bit wrong there. But this goes back to the point I was making earlier, that I think that this power station has got 3 fridge days in it, easily. I'm putting 4 fingers up when I'm trying to say 3. I think it's got 3 fridge days in it. I can't say that. 3 fridge days. That's what this power station's got. 3 fridge days. According to this, the maths work out superbly. It's similarly, in a similar vein, the 2048 watt hours. People use little electric heaters in the vans. If you've got a 500 watt heater, then I know straight away that it's going to give you about 4 hours. But if you take 2048, let's just do that again, 2048, and divide that by 500, you're going to get 4.096. So you could run a little 500, from a full battery, you could run a little 500 watt fan heater or whatever for 4 hours. It's going to give you 4 hours. So that's just a little bit of basic mathematics. So that's just some basic maths. So that's just some basic maths. Right, stop. That's just some basic calculations. There's obviously different things that need to be taken into account, discharge rates, things like that, and the fact that the fridge, I'm guessing, at 30 watts. That's kind of, you know, where I am with that. But what I am saying is that a 2 kilowatt power station like the Ecoflow one that we've got here, with a proper campervan fridge, will give you a good 3 days from what we've seen. Once we add it to this, the alternator charger, and once we put it solar panel on the roof, we're on our way to having a really good off-grid solution that's going to meet our needs 99 times out of 100. That's what we think. That's what we think. If we're ever stuck anywhere, we run out of power, just turn the bloody engine on. Simple as that. Go for a drive. Go for a drive if we have to. Okay, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Makes a massive difference. See you soon. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, did I mention my fancy lights? So, watch this. All off. All on. Kitchen lights, which you're sat on the kitchen unit, so you're not going to see anything. But I've dimmed that down. In fact, I've turned the kitchen lights off. Seating area below me now. I'm on there now. I'm going to dim that down. Again, you're not really going to see anything. I'm going to turn it off. This light up here, I'm on that one now. I'm going to take him down. I'm going to turn him off. So we're left with this one over here. I'm going to take him down. I'm going to turn him off. And all done from a beautiful remote control, which is a great bit of kit. Really impressed with the van lighting system that we've stumbled across. See you soon.